Welcome to this live session, which is the brand building roadmap. This session is where I am going to go into all the details about how you can build your brand. And this is perfect if you are a woman entrepreneur who would consider yourself being in the DIY stage. That means you're doing a lot on your own by yourself. So I'm just here to just walk you through what are some things you need to know, the steps or the systems you need to have in place in order for you to really build a brand that is successful or will be successful. So I am Carey. If you're new to me, I am a brand builder and naturally a creator, a creative person. I'm always creating something, always filled with so many ideas. And of course, I have a lot of experience. So you're going to hear a little bit about my story. So, this is the brand building roadmap and what every woman entrepreneur needs to know before she posts another content. All right. So, if you are on that journey of building your brand, then this is for you. And if you're watching the replay, I want you to engage just as same as if you're on the replay. I tend to come back, check my comments, interact, answer questions. If there are any concerns you have, I'm your girl and I will answer your questions. All right. So let's start with some truth. If someone asked you right now what your brand stands for, could you answer it in one clear sentence? Could you say, well, I am a nail tech who serves women who are busy with a tight schedule, and I help them to look good, feel good despite them always being busy. What is your clear one sentence? What do you stand for? Right? Which means the little bit of what I mentioned earlier would mean you stand for being there, you're being efficient, you're on time, that kind of thing. So if you could answer that in one clear sentence in the comments, just say yes confidently. That means you're in the right place. So let's make it even stronger. And if you hesitated like, boy, Carey, I'm not so sure, then of course you're exactly who this live is for. So just drop that yes or that hesitation in the comments or in the chat and let me know. All right. So waiting for those comments to come right in. No. So for the next 30 minutes, or I would say around 20 minutes thereabouts, we will wrap up within the next 30 minutes with question and answers. But what we will be doing for the next few minutes here is really building together and just talking about why most women entrepreneurs, why some women entrepreneurs really are building their brand backwards. What are you really getting wrong? And then talk a bit about a 5-pillar brand building roadmap. And this is just based on one, what does brand building entails, but also how I have approached it and how it has worked for me personally. And then, of course, the mistakes that keep you stuck and invisible, and one action you can take to shift everything. And I want to stay to the end because I have something special for you. All right. So the real problem is that most women are building their brand backwards. So that means you say, boy, I have this big idea for this business, and the first thing I'm going to do is what? The truth is, a lot of women entrepreneurs would say, I am going to create a logo. Listen, I've had so many women entrepreneurs come to me, Carey, I have this business I'm going to launch. I need a logo. That's the first thing most people say they want. And the other thing a lot of persons have said they want, or women entrepreneurs have said, Carey, this is what I want. They would say, I have these colors. These are the colors I like. And then you go ahead and you just pick the colors. You just start picking a color that you like. And then you design the logo and then you start posting. That is it. Like what? Like literally, that is like a recipe for disaster. No foundation, no clarity, and sometimes it leads to no clients. The truth is, though, is that you have had people who have had success without having a perfect brand or going through the typical system of brand building, and they have done well for themselves to an extent, but that also meant they were very clear on what they were doing. So they weren't fussy about like colors and stuff like that. But if you don't have a foundation, if you are not clear about what you're building, this is going to be really hard for you, can make you very invisible. And this is especially important for service-based women entrepreneurs who I mostly serve, who are building brands that are impactful. And so for women like us, women like you, it is very important for you to have that foundation and making it very solid. So I'm not talking about just having a pretty logo or having a nice brand color. Because the truth is, you can have all those things and you can have all those things and still not get clients. Like, you can have like a really nice photo. You can be someone who has amazing brand photo shoots, nice logo, nice colors, nice everything, but still not get clients. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this. So if you are watching, do you have a clear foundation? Do you have clarity in your business as you're building? All right, so let's talk about what is the solution. Carey, you're telling me all these things. I'm ready to build my brand. I've already probably started, or you're just in the launch phase. You're probably even in idea stage. And if you're in idea stage, this is a perfect session for you. Or you might be established and you start already and you've been getting some clients here and there, maybe not very consistent, or you've been doing a thing but you feel a little stuck because you don't have systems. This is for you. So the first thing I like to say is that you need clarity. Who do you serve? Who do you serve? Do you know who you serve? So let me answer this. Not let me answer a question. Let me share a bit of a story with you. So I have built 3 successful brands. So recently I shared that story on my Instagram. So you can follow me at Carey Digital, careydigital.co on Instagram. And I recently shared the story of how I built 3 successful brands. And that sounds really amazing, right? But let me tell you what happened. When I was building one of these brands called For Women to Women, a lot of people know me for that brand. I was building that brand. And when I just started out, I had a really big vision, but at the same time, I wasn't very clear on what I wanted. At the time, it was really built out of a need. And that need was, I wanted a space for women like me who were navigating their career in their early 20s, a space where we could just connect and learn and grow together. So it started out as a Facebook page. Then I moved on from my Facebook page to creating a blog, getting contributors. And then eventually I moved on into, well, what I say, it evolving into a community. But I remember before I reached all those stages, I remember there were points when I wanted to get partners and sponsorship and all the things. And I remember having this call with another woman, older woman. I don't even remember why I was calling her, but I knew it was some partnership related thing. I reached out to her and I was telling her about all the things I'm doing and stuff. And she's like, okay, who do you serve? She's like, Carey, who do you serve? I'm like, I serve every woman. I serve women in their 20s, every woman in their 20s. She's like, no, girl, you cannot be serving every woman in her 20s. There's no way that's possible, because guess what? A woman in her 20s can be going through so many different things, so many different lifestyle and background and stuff. And from that call, it really hit me like, that's true. I really cannot be serving every single woman in their 20s. And it's similar to now. When I am helping women to build their brands, their business, I cannot be serving every woman who is building a brand, because every woman is at a different phase and journey. So currently, I am serving women entrepreneurs who want to build their confidence and show up online, and who are building brands with impact, or for impact, I would say, right? Women who know there's a deeper purpose and a calling on their lives, and they need to show up. They need to be on camera. They need to be building a brand that is authentic, right? So you have to be very clear about who you are serving. So get very clear. Who are you serving? What's the problem you're solving? And why you specifically? We have to answer those questions. And the clearer we get on this, the much better it is for us. The truth is, I serve multiple audiences. So sometimes it gets a little tricky because I'm like, boy, I serve children through my creative camp. I serve women under the brand Carey Digital. I serve organizations who want Canva training. So I have to be very clear on who I serve. And I did a LinkedIn post on that this week, and I think I'll share it at some point. I think now is probably a good point for me to share it, though, if I'm going to be honest. So while that is coming up, let's move into point number 2 for right now, right? So the second framework or part of building your brand foundation is identity. Now, this part is important because this is who you are. So once you're clear on who you serve, the problem you solve, why you specifically, now you can own that identity, right? This reflects not just you and your audience. This reflects you and your audience. This is not just about looking pretty, because the truth is sometimes we get so caught up in the prettiness of things. Oh, I like the color purple, I like the color orange, I like the it is about your visual brand. Which colors are you using? How does that connect with your audience emotionally? How does that help them to make a decision? The fonts you use, what is your guidelines to your identity? How do you show up? Where do you show up? And that leads me into point number 3, which is positioning. What makes you different, and why? What does that difference mean to your clients? So one of the things is that I talk a lot about Canva, and my channel used to just be filled with Canva tutorials. And oftentimes when I looked in the market, what was different about me as a Canva trainer or just someone who teaches Canva or does tutorials? One, the clear distinction is that I'm Jamaican, but the truth is that I am someone who gives and provides easy to follow tutorials. I walk with my people hand in hand. I give easy to follow tutorials. I share the basic design principles. I don't just focus on the features and the tool itself, but how you can utilize Canva to build your small business and brand, right? So that is how I am different. That's my positioning. So when I'm now speaking more about how to use Canva for branding, how to use Canva to grow your small business, how to use Canva to build your online presence. That is how I show up. So that makes a difference. And that makes a difference in where I show up, who I connect with, and the type of clients I even attract, right? And then 4, visibility. Now, this is a big one, because the truth is sometimes you can do all these things and not be visible, because 1, the positioning can be off. And if your positioning is off, then that means you could be talking, and all you're hearing is crickets. And trust me, I have been there. All right. So visibility is about showing up intentionally and consistently so the right people can find it. And this part is a big part. This was the part that I was hiding from all the years when I was building a brand. I used to hide, guys. Let me tell you, I used to hide behind the scenes. I used to be afraid of being seen. I didn't want to be on camera. Oh, I just preferred working behind the scenes. That was just my thing. And I realized that was not working for me. There reached a point where I realized this is just not working for me. So another quick story. So when I built that brand for Women to Women, I spent a lot of time behind the scenes, just doing blog posts and posting on Twitter, doing Twitter chats, all the things, until one person from the community I was building online, like, Carey, we want to do an in-person meetup. And I'm like, listen, I'm not about that life. I prefer being behind the scenes. And trust me, making that decision to move from behind the scenes in front made a big shift. People started seeing the person behind the brand. They started to understand the reason behind me building this brand. And that was when I started to really get an essence of building community. So those are some things you have to be mindful of. So when you build the brand, you have to also think about, how can I build a visibility, right? And visibility isn't just about being viral or just constantly posting on social media. The truth is, they can be visible without these things. So you have to come up with a strategy. How are you going to show up, and how are you going to show up intentionally and consistently so the right people can find you? And not just anybody finding you, but the clients, the opportunities, the partnerships, the collaborations. All right, that is it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about clarity. So as I said earlier, it's about who you serve, knowing who you serve, the specific problem you solve, why you're doing it, who is the right person and know why you are the right person to solve it. And I want you to try this in the comments. I want you to type and tell me who you would help. Oftentimes, when you go on Instagram, you see this bio where you say, I help women entrepreneurs to be more confident at work, right? I help women entrepreneurs to be more confident with their finances as they're building their business from scratch. I help women entrepreneurs to create with more confidence so they can create the impact they're called to make. Those are things, be specific. So, who you help is a person, what is the specific thing you do, and what is the result you provide. So I want you to drop it in the just drop it in the comments, like, and I'll give you some feedback, right? So if you have any notes or things, just drop it in the comments and I will review it and give you some feedback live. All right, now we're going into identity two, because we touched on all of these things briefly, but now we're on identity two pillar. Remember, identity is who are you outside of just the pretty colors, because the colors are important. Who are you? What's your personality? Are you bold? Are you an expert? Are you playful? What does your personality, how do you come across, right? And this is very important because that helps with something we call messaging, like the copy you'll use or just how you communicate. So for me, I would definitely say my brand personality is I'm approachable, right? I would probably say, now and then I might make a little joke here and there, but that's not the essence of my brand. I'm not always on here giving jokes. But I'm like, typically very approachable. I'm warm, I would say. And if you can share, just drop it in comments. What do you think my brand personality is? Because the truth is, I can think I'm showing up one way and you'll be like, Carey-Lee, you're so serious. I think you're so closed off. And the best way to know what your brand personality or how you're coming off is to ask your audience. But of course, before you ask them, you have to build that into your framework while you're building your brand. The other thing is tone and voice. How do you sound? Are you conversational, professional, inspirational? What is your tone? What is your voice? That helps with recognition, right? And then a visual system. This is so important, and we'll talk a bit about that some more. All right. Let's go into systems. Now, this is a big part because you can have the clarity, you have the identity, but systems, how are you going to make this flow naturally and easily for you? System. You might hear people talk about it, but you need a system when you're building a brand, when you're building a business. And it is no different when you're building a brand. So what systems help you with is creating like repeatable workflows that ensure that your brand is consistent or efficient. You can scale across different touch points. And that means scaling across different touch points means social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, that kind of thing. Scale across touch points also mean how you show up offline as well. So how do you ensure that with the system you're building, you're able to maintain a brand standard, right? Protecting your assets, like how you use your logos, which colors you utilize, and then also ensuring you have guidelines to ensure consistency across different channels and with teams, because you might be in that stage of your business where you are doing it all alone, but you have to be building this business bearing in mind that you want to have a team member. You want to have a team. So think about these things. And so one of the key things I like to talk about when you're doing systems, because I know a lot of my people are Canva users, I like to say, have a brand kit, use your brand kit, have your colors there, have your logos there, utilize it. I have so many videos on my channel talking about how to create a brand kit, the importance of it, the importance of brand consistency, all those things, right? So I want you to just be very mindful. Systems is very important, from the templates that you will use to help you to create content and just having collaborative workflows. What does that mean? It means that if you should delegate a part of something that you're doing as you're working, do you have a workflow? Do you have a system? Do you have guidelines? You need to have these things in place. These are very important when you're building a brand. And let's touch on pillar 4, positioning. I briefly mentioned it earlier. Positioning is making yourself the obvious choice for the right person, which means when you're very clear on who you are, your identity, and you have the systems in place, you can position yourself, right? What is different about you? Which spaces are you showing up in, right? Are you on LinkedIn when instead you really probably should be on Threads? Or are you on Instagram when really and truly you should be on LinkedIn? Positioning. Are you showing up in the places where your audience is? That's a very big thing when you're building your brand. So it's not just about having a nice logo, having nice colors, and just start posting. One of the things I've heard a lot of women entrepreneurs share with me, I'm on every social media platform. That sounds great. But do you really need to be on all social media platforms right now? Do you have the time? Do you have the capacity for all social media platforms right now? So you have to start thinking about positioning. What specific benefits can you offer to your audience on a particular platform? So let me just give you some stuff here. So I show up on multiple platforms, but the truth is, if I try to show up on every single platform the same way, I'll be spreading myself thin and be burnt out. A lot of women entrepreneurs do that. Either they have this really good momentum, they're going, but without systems, without just clarity, what happens? They burn out. So right now, what I've done is to build like a system around how I utilize social media. I'm showing up totally different. YouTube. I use YouTube as like my authority anchor platform. So a lot of things, the deeper things I want to share, I share them here. I do these lives. So I do a live once a month, right? Or I do a series. And then from that, I repurpose my content and position it or put it on different platforms. So I show up on stories on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I would also share a little bit more connecting with the audience I need to connect with on LinkedIn. So the people I connect with on YouTube are totally different than the audience I connect with on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram. On LinkedIn, I'm more likely to find my decision makers, the managers, the persons who really want to make that decision. Do I need to hire Carey for this Canva training? Outside of Canva, what does Carey do? LinkedIn. On Instagram, I connect with the women entrepreneurs who are probably doing it alone or have a small team on a more one-on-one basis, right? So in the stories, I share behind the scenes, I share what I'm working on, I share what I'm building, and we can have conversations there. So that is how I'm doing it. And then I have YouTube, longer form content. The truth is, all the persons I mentioned before can literally find me here. But if you want to find evergreen content, if you want to see all the things that I talk about, how I serve, how I share knowledge, this is where it comes on YouTube, right? So that's what I'm talking about, positioning. You have to know where your audience is. And the truth is, when I started my YouTube channel, I started out really targeting women like myself at the time who were just doing it alone. I really wanted to share how to utilize Canva, how to design, how to create all the things. And I'm still talking to my DIY entrepreneurs, but no, I am I'm not just focused on Canva tutorials. No, I'm showing you like, okay, if you're using Canva, this is how you use it. These are the benefits. So you have to be very clear on positioning. And I'm going to be honest, I have showed up the wrong way in many spaces. So I've been just putting out content, doing all the things, getting crickets, not hearing anybody, just feel like I'm talking in a void when really I was not positioning myself the right way. And I still have work to do with positioning, right? I still have work, and I still have to go back, get clear. Sometimes things shift in business. You realize, okay, I'm not getting any clients. I'm talking, I'm doing all these things, I'm not getting any clients. What could possibly be going wrong? So these are some things that you have to be very mindful of. Visibility, the big part. I talked about this earlier. The foundation without visibility is invisible. So visibility without foundation is noise. We know this, right? But you have to, once you do all the 4 steps I mentioned earlier, having clarity, right? Having identity, positioning systems, positioning, notes, visibility. You start showing up with more intention, not just frequency. You know what to say because your foundation is clear. You know the right platform to show up on. You're creating content that builds trust over time, and you're showing up with when engagement is low. Let's talk about that part. Let's talk about showing up even when engagement is low. Quick backstory. I have built my brand here on YouTube. I don't think I get the highest views on YouTube. I don't think. You can go and look for yourself. But you know what YouTube has done for me? You know what YouTube has done for me? You know what showing up has done for me? It has helped me to get paid clients. training opportunities, speaking engagements, collaborations, partnerships. Yeah. Even when the visibility, not the visibility, even when the engagement is low, those are the things that happen. That's the benefit of showing up. And that's why when you are very clear on who you serve and why you're doing it, even when engagement is low, even when if I'm doing a live and there's nobody on it, I'm still going to show up. And it sometimes can get very daunting and overwhelming. And so that's why you have to kind of just like shift your mindset and challenge yourself to shift your mindset and to show up regardless. And then if you realize there's this constant pattern of you showing up, you doing all the things and still not getting any traction, that means you just take a little step back and you say, all right, what am I not doing? What could I be doing? What can I do different? Is it my message? Right? So you go back to your clarity point. Is it my positioning? Am I on LinkedIn or YouTube when I really should be on Instagram? Those are things. What kind of business you have? If you are someone you're creating craft, right? Trust me, you can be on threads, but here's what. The best place I would say you need to be on is Instagram. The best place that you need to be on is on YouTube. YouTube is like a slower growth platform. So the instant platform, Instagram, TikTok, you need to be setting up that camera and showing people the things you're making. You're doing crocheting, turn on your camera, record it, right? You're doing graphic designing, turn on your camera, record you design a graphic or how you transform a graphic, right? And so YouTube, if you're someone who is a speaker, you need to be on YouTube. You need to be doing more lives. You need to be on Instagram doing lives. You need to be on TikTok doing lives. You're an entertainment person, you're entertaining, you get a lot of TikTok, entertain, right? So those are some things I am pointing out for you. So just before we wrap, let's talk quickly about the 3 mistakes. Building for the wrong audience. You need to be clear, right? That's a mistake a lot of entrepreneurs making and building for the wrong audience. Rebranding every few months. Oh, this is not working. I need to rebrand. Listen, you don't need to rebrand all the time. You need to go back to your foundation, all right? And wait until it's perfect. Do not wait until it is perfect, guys. The truth is there's nothing that is perfect. And there's the perfectionism thing that really beats a lot of us as entrepreneurs. And we just have to get that right. So, what is your action for today? The action you need to take today in 10 minutes. It does take 10 minutes. And if you're on this live, I just want you to comment and tell me 3 words you want people to use when they describe your brand. So, even if you're in the ideation stage, what are the 3 words you want people to use when they describe your brand? One word for me is that I'm very passionate, right? And informative. Well, that's 2 words, right? So think about those 3 words and I want you to share them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear because I'm going to come back, engage and, comment. And then pull up your last 5 pieces of content, right? If you haven't started creating content, then this is going to be a little different. But for the last 5 pieces of content, if you've already been showing up, creating content, look at your last 5 pieces of content and ask yourself honestly, do these 3 words show up? If not, that's your gap. So you need to, 1, write down the 3 words you want people to know you for or describe your brand as. Look at your last 5 pieces of content and ask yourself honestly, do these 3 words show up? And if not, that's your gap. If you have not started creating content as yet, here's what you need to do. The 5 pieces of content that you're going to create, ensure your brand tone and everything matches that. All right. All right, so let's talk a little bit because I have a really good offer that's coming up for my women entrepreneurs who are doing it alone. And if I can share anything with you, is that I've done a lot on my own. So you don't remember those 3 successful brands I mentioned, who I built these 3 successful brands, guys? I built these brands alone, not a team, not a big budget, limited. I don't want to say limited support, but there are many times I had limited support. That's the truth. But I was doing it alone. So I was spending a lot of time. I was confused. I wasn't sure how to show up. I spent a lot of time doing research when instead I could have gotten help, support from others who have walked the path. I'm not talking about just having someone there cheering you on. I mean someone who have the knowledge, who has been there before. And so I'm doing the Build Your Brand Live, a 5-day brand sprint from March 10th to the 14th, right? And it's going to be live on Zoom, and you get a 30-day replay. So if you're not able to join live for every day, you can still get the replay. The replay will be available for you. And I'm doing an early bird. So that early bird ends on February 24th, and it's for $77, right? After Tuesday, after February 24, it is going to go up to $97, which is the regular cost for the or regular investment price, I should say, for this. And in the 5 days, you will leave with brand clarity, which talks about who you'll serve. You leave with a clear idea of your identity, a system you can use in Canva, content plan, and a 90-day visibility roadmap. And of course, I'll be giving you workbooks, assignments, just exercise. I know most people don't like the word assignment, right? I've done training sessions like, Carey, please don't say assignment, exercises. So you get a workbook, and you can just utilize those. So, and the most important part I really think I'm missing out is that you'll be doing it with a community of women. You'll have me be on these calls for 5 days, 1.5 hour, just walking you through, guiding you, working together. So it's like I'm going to be your coach, your guider, your mentor, all throughout that time. You ask me questions while we also create together. And you have other women who will be doing it with you. And the link is in the description. So, like I said, the early bird offer ends on February 24th. That's how many days from now? 3 days from now. Right? So you literally have 3 days. So you can go ahead, scan the QR code, access your early bird price, because you're going to be in for a really good treat, a really, really good time, because I am building this out for you in real time. We'll be working together, I'll be connecting with you and just having a community. One of the things I really think women who are building businesses and really showing up need more of is community. By the way, guys, before I hop off this call, need to tell you, I will be going live on Monday and Tuesdays. I'm going live again 2 more times. I'm going live 2 more times. And the next live that I'll be doing, I'll be talking about the 3 questions you need to be asking to help you gain some clarity. That's a big one. And we'll be just talking about that because sometimes the mistakes we're making in building our brand is not asking the right questions. And so on Monday, February 23rd, I'll be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm coming back. I'm coming back here to chat with you guys, question and answer. You ask me all the questions and we chop it up. And then on February 24th, I'm going into deeper details about how I built 3 successful brands. I'm sharing everything. Come with your questions. I'll be sharing the mistakes I made. Yeah, I'll be sharing mistakes I made. I'm going to share like some wins I've had. That's a thing for sure. Definitely will be sharing with you some mistakes I have made, because I've made some mistakes. I would definitely say I've made some mistakes in really building my brand while doing it alone, while not having a lot of support. And the truth is I had walked away from one of the brands I was building from the scratch because at a certain point I got really burnt out, overwhelmed, and I pretty much aborted the mission. And a lot of us as women entrepreneurs, we're not just building this business to make money. Yes, we're part of it to make money, but a lot of us, it's our calling on our lives to have this business. It's our calling on our lives for us to really build this brand. And the truth is, a lot of us are really carrying big missions and big visions on our own, when really we should really be having a support. And I know what it really feels like to be building a brand and doing it alone. I get a little emotional here, but I know what it feels like to be building a brand, doing it alone, not feeling supported, not sure what to do. You're doing all this research, feel like nothing is working. But sometimes all we need is someone walking with us hand in hand. And for the 5 days, for this brand sprint, I'll be walking with you. I'll really be walking with you and just, share with you. So it's not just about pretty colors, guys. Yes, that's nice. It's not just about the logo, but it's the depth. It's the reason, it's the purpose behind what you're building. So thank you guys for joining this live session. Went a little bit over the time I allotted, but it has just been really a great pleasure to talk with you guys. And I can't wait to share more. So of course, thanks for being here. And remember to scan this QR code if you want access to the early bird prize for the Build Your Brand Live, which is a 5-day sprint, March 10th to the 14th, live on Zoom, live session, and you get a 30-day replay. And of course, the early bird investment is 77 USD. And at the end, you will walk away with a clear roadmap, similar to how I mapped it out in this session. You get a clear roadmap, brand clarity, you lead with your identity, a canvas system, content plan, and a visibility roadmap. The link is in my description. And like I said earlier, thanks for being here. And I can't wait to see you on Monday. Bye.